The moons of Nexus 6 cast triple shadows across the crystalline landscape as Dr. Maya Patel adjusted her atmospheric suit's sensors. The alien world's perpetual twilight made her research challenging, but the potential discoveries kept her going. 3 years into the Interstellar Botanical Research Initiative, she had catalogued hundreds of unique plant species, but nothing prepared her for what she would find in the crystalline valleys. Maya's boots crunched against the iridescent soil as she followed her scanner's readings. The device had been picking up unusual energy signatures for days, but this morning's spike was unprecedented. She pushed through a cluster of prismatic fronds, their edges tinkling like wind chimes as they brushed against her suit. "Base, are you receiving these readings?" Maya spoke into her comm unit, watching the numbers climb higher on her display. "The bioenergy levels are off the charts." Static crackled through her earpiece. "Reading you, Dr. Patel. Your signal's getting weak. Maybe you should head back." The voice cut out completely. Maya hesitated, knowing protocol dictated she return to base when communications failed. But something pulled her forward, an inexplicable certainty that she stood on the brink of something extraordinary. The air around her seemed to thicken, taking on an almost opalescent quality. The ground sloped downward, leading to a narrow ravine. Maya's heart raced as she noticed faint pulses of light emanating from within. With each step, the crystalline formations around her grew more intricate, more purposeful in their arrangement. This wasn't natural growth, there was design here, intention. As she descended into the ravine, the world transformed. Bioluminescent vines draped across ancient archways, their light shifting in subtle patterns that seemed almost like language. Flowers unlike anything in Earth's botanical record bloomed in impossible configurations, their petals phasing between states of matter. "Incredible," Maya whispered, her scientific mind racing to catalog every detail while another part of her simply stood in awe. The garden, for she knew now that's what this was, seemed to respond to her voice. Ripples of light cascaded through the foliage, and the air filled with a sweet, almost musical resonance. She reached for her sample collection kit, but a voice stopped her, not heard with her ears, but felt in her mind like the ghost of a whisper. "The Garden of Convergence does not yield samples easily, Earthchild." Maya spun around, her heart hammering. Standing before her was a being that defied her understanding of biology. Tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shift like the aurora borealis, the creature regarded her with eyes that held galaxies. Tendrils of what might have been hair or might have been living light moved with an ethereal grace around its elongated features. "I am Zil-Aaron, guardian of the Nexus Garden." The being's words formed in Maya's mind with perfect clarity. "You should not be here, yet here you are. The garden has been waiting." Maya fought to maintain her scientific composure. Waiting? For what? For one who could see. Zil-Aaron moved closer, and Maya noticed that the garden responded to each step, blooming and shifting in synchronized patterns. "For millennia, we have tended this confluence of realities, maintaining the balance between worlds. But the garden is changing. It senses something in you, a resonance we have not encountered before." A massive flower nearby unfurled its petals, releasing spores that danced like starlight. Maya's instruments went wild, recording energy signatures that shouldn't have been possible. "I'm a scientist," she said. "A xenobotanist. I study." "You do more than study," Zil-Aaron interrupted. "You understand. You feel the life force that flows through all things. The garden recognizes this gift." The ground beneath Maya's feet began to glow, and she realized with a start that patterns were spreading outward from where she stood, intricate, geometric designs that pulsed with living light. The entire garden seemed to be awakening, responding to her presence in ways that both thrilled and terrified her. "This isn't possible," Maya breathed, watching as plants she had never seen before began to grow and bloom around her. "The energy requirements alone for this level of growth. Possibility is a limit imposed by incomplete understanding," Zil-Aaron said, moving to touch one of the new blooms. The garden exists at the intersection of all realities. Here, the laws of your science meet the mysteries of the universe, and something new emerges. Something that has been waiting for a bridge between worlds. Maya's scanner began to spark and smoke. She quickly shut it off, realizing that no Earth technology could properly document what she was witnessing. The garden continued to transform around them, each new growth more spectacular than the last. Flowers that resembled supernovas bloomed alongside vines that seemed to branch into other dimensions. Why me? Maya asked, unable to tear her eyes away from the magnificent display. Of all the researchers, all the explorers who must have passed near this place. Zilaren's expression shifted in a way that might have been a smile. The garden chooses its witnesses carefully. It saw in you a mind open to wonders yet anchored in understanding. But there is more. The guardian gestured to the transformed landscape around them. This reaction is unprecedented. The garden is not merely responding to your presence, it is evolving because of it. As if to emphasize the point, a new archway of crystalline plants burst from the ground, its structure impossibly complex yet somehow familiar to Maya's scientific mind. She recognized elements of Earth's double helix DNA structure woven into alien patterns that spoke of possibilities beyond human comprehension. You must make a choice, Maya Patel, Zilaren said solemnly. You can leave now, return to your base, file your reports. Or you can stay and learn what the garden wants to show you. But know that if you choose to stay, you will become part of something far greater than your research mission. The garden does not reveal itself without purpose. Maya looked back toward the ravine entrance, where her ordinary world of scientific expedition waited. Then she turned to the transformed garden, where every moment brought new wonders into being. In her heart, she already knew her answer. Maya's decision to stay changed everything. In the cycles that followed, she watched as the Garden of Convergence transformed beyond anything she could have imagined. Her presence seemed to catalyze changes that even Zilaren found remarkable. The molecular structure is reorganizing itself, Maya observed, watching as a cluster of crystalline flowers shifted their atomic arrangement before her eyes. She had long since abandoned her damaged scientific instruments, learning instead to rely on the garden's own way of communicating. It's as if the plants are creating entirely new elements. Zilaren moved with liquid grace among the evolving flora. The garden is attempting to bridge the gap between your world's natural laws and the cosmic principles that govern this space. Such adaptation has never occurred before. The guardian's iridescent skin rippled with concern as a new growth pattern emerged, plants that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, their structures incorporating both Earth-like cellular patterns and the impossible geometries of the garden's original inhabitants. Is this dangerous? Maya asked, noticing Zilaren's unease. These hybrid species. Not dangerous, Zilaren responded, touching one of the new blooms. But significant. The garden has always been a nexus point between realities, but it has never attempted to merge them so intimately. A soft chime echoed through the space as another crystal formation emerged from the ground. Unlike the others, this one formed a perfect spiral that reminded Maya of the Fibonacci sequence, yet it moved and pulsed with an alien vitality that defied Earth mathematics. Your presence affects more than just the flora, Zilaren continued. The garden's fundamental energies are shifting. It seeks to understand you, to incorporate your essence into its own. The guardian's galaxy-filled eyes fixed on Maya. You feel it too, don't you? The changes within yourself? Maya nodded slowly. She had noticed it over the past few days, an increasing sensitivity to the garden's rhythms, a deeper understanding of its complex communications. Sometimes she swore she could see the energy flows that Zilaren spoke of, weaving between the plants like rivers of starlight. Yesterday, I dreamed in colors that don't exist on Earth, she admitted. And this morning, I knew the crystal arch would form here before it happened. It's like the garden is teaching you its language, Zilaren finished. While learning yours in return. A distant rumble shook the ground, and both Maya and Zileran turned to watch as a massive structure began to rise from the garden's center. It was a towering spire of living crystal and organic matter, its surface covered in shifting symbols that combined human scientific notation with the garden's own ancient script. The resonant spire, Zileran breathed, genuine awe in their mental voice. It hasn't manifested in 10,000 cycles. Maya felt drawn to the structure, her feet carrying her forward before she consciously decided to move. The symbols on its surface seemed to call to her, each one containing depths of meaning that her mind both could and couldn't comprehend. "What does it mean?" she asked, reaching out to touch the spire's surface. The moment her fingers made contact, a surge of information flooded her consciousness, images, concepts, and understanding too vast to fully grasp. Zileran moved quickly to steady her as she stumbled back. "The garden is showing you its purpose," they explained. "The resonant spire is a record keeper, a repository of knowledge from all realities that intersect here. Its emergence now, it seeks to add your world's wisdom to its archives." Maya's head spun with the implications. "All of human scientific knowledge." "Not just science," Zileran corrected. "Understanding. Your species' unique way of perceiving and interpreting reality. The garden sees something in human consciousness that it believes vital to its evolution." Before Maya could respond, a new sound filled the air, a harmonious vibration that made the very atoms around them dance. The garden's bioluminescence intensified, and Maya gasped as she saw patterns of light forming in the air itself, creating three-dimensional models of molecular structures, mathematical equations, and cosmic phenomena. "It's beautiful," she whispered, watching as human scientific principles merged with the garden's ancient wisdom in displays of impossible complexity and beauty. "It is also unprecedented," Zileran said, their tone carrying a note of warning. "Such rapid evolution, such eager exchange of knowledge, it will draw attention. There are those who have sought access to the garden's secrets for millennia. They will sense these changes." As if responding to Zileran's words, the garden's outer crystalline barriers grew higher, their structures becoming more complex and defensive. Maya felt a surge of protectiveness wash over her, not just her own emotions, but the garden's as well. "You speak of these others as threats," she said, turning to Zileran. "But isn't knowledge meant to be shared? Couldn't this be an opportunity for greater understanding between all species?" Zileran's expression shifted in a way Maya was learning to read as deep concern. "Some seek understanding," they acknowledged. "Others seek power. The garden's knowledge, combined with human scientific principles, in the wrong hands, it could reshape realities in ways that would destroy the very balance we preserve." The resonant spire pulsed again, and Maya felt another wave of information wash over her, this time carrying images of conflict, of forces that would exploit the garden's power without comprehending its true purpose. She saw civilizations rise and fall, realities shatter and reform, all because of knowledge misused. "Then we protect it," she said firmly, surprised by the conviction in her own voice. "We find a way to guide this evolution safely, to ensure that any sharing of knowledge serves life rather than destruction." Zileran studied her for a long moment, their galactic eyes swirling with unreadable emotions. "The garden chose well," they finally said. "But the path ahead will not be easy. Are you prepared for what that might mean?" Before Maya could answer, a new alarm rang through her mind, not sound, but a sensation of urgent warning. The garden's outer barriers trembled, and Zileran's form tensed. "We have less time than I hoped," the guardian said grimly. "They have already sensed the changes. They come." The first warning came as a tremor in the crystalline barriers. Maya felt it through her newly heightened connection to the garden, a dissonance in the harmonious frequencies she had grown accustomed to. The garden's defensive structures pulsed with increased intensity, their light taking on a harder, more urgent quality. "3 vessels," Zileran announced, their form shifting to a more alert stance. "Quantum signatures suggest Valkyrie technology." The Guardian's usually melodic mental voice carried an edge of steel. They are not known for their subtlety. Maya watched as the garden responded to the threat, new growths emerging with distinct defensive properties, crystalline structures that could focus and redirect energy, organic matrices capable of absorbing and neutralizing various forms of attack. She found she could understand their purposes instinctively now, her human scientific knowledge merging with the garden's ancient wisdom. The Valkyrie, she said, accessing knowledge that seemed to flow directly from the resonance spire. They're biomechanical engineers, aren't they? They integrate organic and technological components. Yes, Zillaran confirmed grimly. They seek to control evolution itself, to direct all life according to their vision of perfection. This garden, especially now that it shows signs of unprecedented growth, would be irresistible to them. A new series of symbols appeared on the resonance spire's surface, and Maya felt her understanding expand further. But there's more to it than that, isn't there? The garden isn't just changing, it's fulfilling something. A pattern that was set in motion long ago. Zillaran moved closer to her, their aurora-like skin reflecting the garden's intensifying light. There is an ancient prophecy, they admitted. Speaking of a time when the barriers between realities would thin, when a bridge would form between different ways of understanding the universe. The garden has waited eons for this convergence. The ground shook again, more violently this time. Above them, through the crystalline canopy, Maya could see three dark shapes descending through Nexus SX's perpetual twilight. The vessels were organic in appearance, their hulls covered in what looked like living circuitry. They're here for more than just study or exploitation, aren't they? Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. They want to stop this convergence from happening. The Valkyrie believe they alone should guide evolution, Zillaran explained, moving to touch one of the garden's defensive structures. It responded instantly, growing more complex patterns of energy-focusing crystals. A natural convergence between worlds, an organic bridge between different forms of knowledge, this threatens everything they believe about their own supremacy. Maya felt the garden's response to this threat, not fear, but a deep, resolute determination. The resonance spire pulsed again, and this time the knowledge it shared was clear and purposeful. She gasped as understanding flooded her mind. The garden, she breathed. It's not just teaching me its wisdom. It's changing itself to create something entirely new. A synthesis of human scientific understanding and its own ancient power. Zillaran nodded solemnly. This is why you were chosen, Maya Patel. Not just for your knowledge, but for your ability to see beyond the boundaries of what you know. The garden recognized in you the potential for true synthesis. The Valkyrie ships were closing in now, their organic hulls emanating fields that made the air itself seem to warp. Maya could feel their presence as a discordant note in the garden's harmony, but she also felt something else, a growing resonance between herself, Zillaran, and the garden itself. The prophecy, she said suddenly, turning to Zillaran. It doesn't just speak of a bridge between worlds, does it? It speaks of guardians, plural. The garden wasn't just waiting for someone like me. It was waiting for this moment, when different forms of understanding could come together to protect something greater. Before Zillaran could respond, the first attack came. A beam of concentrated energy struck the garden's outer barriers, its frequency designed to disrupt the crystalline structures. But where it hit, the garden's defenses didn't shatter, they adapted, absorbing and redirecting the energy in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Maya felt the process as if it were happening within her own body. The garden is using principles of quantum mechanics, she realized, but combining them with its own organic energy patterns. It's creating hybrid defenses that the Valkyrie can't predict. Zillaran's form seemed to brighten. You see it now. This is what the convergence truly means. Not just the sharing of knowledge, but the creation of something entirely new, something that could change how all species understand the universe. The resonance spire flared with unprecedented brightness, and Maya felt its energy flow through her. Equations and organic patterns merged in her mind, scientific principles dancing with ancient cosmic laws. She reached out instinctively, and found her consciousness linking with both Zileran and the garden itself. In that moment of connection, she understood everything. The garden wasn't just a repository of knowledge or a nexus of realities, it was a seed. A starting point for a new kind of evolution, one that could bridge the gap between all forms of understanding. And now, faced with those who would stop this evolution, it had revealed its true purpose. "They're coming," Zileran warned as the Valkyrie ships moved into attack formation. "Are you ready to embrace your role in this, Maya Patel? To become not just a witness to the garden's evolution, but a part of it?" Maya looked up at the threatening ships, then at the magnificent garden around her, this place where science and wonder had merged to create something greater than either alone. She felt the weight of the choice before her, but also the rightness of it. "I am," she said, and felt the garden respond to her certainty. As the Valkyrie prepared their assault, new growths emerged throughout the garden, each one a perfect fusion of earth science and cosmic wisdom. The air itself seemed to sing with possibility. The real battle for the garden's future, and perhaps the future of all understanding, was about to begin. The Valkyrie attack came in waves of calculated precision. Their ships released swarms of biomechanical drones, each one designed to corrupt and control the garden's natural evolution. But they hadn't anticipated what the garden had become, or what Maya and Zileran could do together. Through their merged consciousness, Maya understood the garden's defenses at both a scientific and intuitive level. The crystalline matrices, she communicated to Zileran through their link. "If we modify their quantum structure using Earth's principles of wave-particle duality." The Guardian immediately grasped her meaning. Together, they guided the garden's evolution, creating defensive barriers that existed in multiple states simultaneously. The Valkyrie's corruption algorithms couldn't take hold of something they couldn't definitively locate or identify. Impossible. The mental projection came from the lead Valkyrie ship, a voice filled with both fury and fascination. The garden's patterns should not be able to achieve such configurations. Maya felt a surge of triumph. "That's because you're trying to control evolution instead of understanding it," she projected back. "Life finds ways to grow beyond your equations." The resonant spire pulsed with increasing power, its surface now covered in a seamless blend of mathematical formulas and organic patterns. Each symbol represented a perfect fusion of human scientific understanding and the garden's cosmic wisdom. The knowledge contained within was rewriting the very laws of reality around them. But the Valkyrie were not easily deterred. Their ships released a new wave of attacks, targeted energy pulses designed to sever the connection between Maya, Zileran, and the garden. For a moment, Maya felt their unified consciousness waver. "They seek to isolate us," Zileran warned. "To break the bridge between worlds." Maya gritted her teeth, holding on to the connection with all her strength. "Then let's show them why that's impossible now." Drawing on everything she had learned, Maya initiated a transformation within herself. She felt her consciousness expand, her human understanding of quantum mechanics merging with the garden's mastery of life itself. The resonant spire responded, channeling energy through her in ways that defied conventional physics. The garden erupted with new growth, not just defensive barriers, but active countermeasures. Crystalline spires launched bursts of coherent light that disrupted the Valkyrie's biomechanical systems. Living equations manifested in the air, rewriting the local laws of reality faster than the invaders could adapt. "The convergence cannot be stopped," Zileran projected, their form blazing with power. "It is not just a possibility, it is the next step in universal evolution." The lead Valkyrie ship descended closer, its organic hull rippling with frustrated rage. "You do not understand what you risk," its commander projected. "Such uncontrolled evolution could destabilize entire realities. We have guided species for millions of years, ensuring safe, predictable growth." "Safe and predictable," Maya responded, even as she helped the garden create new hybrid life forms that combined Earth biology with cosmic energy. That's exactly why you're failing. Evolution isn't about control, it's about adaptation, innovation, the courage to become something new. Through their link, Maya felt Zilaren's approval and the garden's resonant agreement. But she also sensed something else, a choice approaching. The garden was building toward something unprecedented, gathering energy for a transformation that would affect not just this place, but potentially all of reality. They must be stopped, Zilaren communicated privately to Maya. But the garden's response, it will change everything. Including us. Maya understood. The garden wasn't just defending itself, it was preparing to evolve into something beyond what any of them could fully comprehend. And as its chosen guardians, she and Zilaren would be at the heart of that evolution. The Velkari launched their final assault, a concentrated burst of corrupting energy aimed at the resonant spire itself. Time seemed to slow as Maya faced the moment of decision. She could sever her connection, try to survive as she was. Or she could commit fully to whatever the garden was becoming, trusting in the synthesis of human science and cosmic wisdom. Looking at Zilaren, seeing the same knowledge in their galactic eyes, Maya made her choice. Together, they opened themselves fully to the garden's power, becoming conduits for something greater than either of their species had dreamed possible. The resonant spire blazed with light that existed in spectrums even Maya's enhanced senses couldn't fully perceive. The garden's evolution accelerated beyond any possibility of control or corruption. And in that moment, as reality itself began to shift around them, Maya understood that their real journey was just beginning. The transformation began at the quantum level and rippled outward through all scales of existence. Maya felt herself changing, her consciousness expanding beyond the boundaries of conventional spacetime. Beside her, Zilaren's form shifted through dimensions she had never imagined, their shared connection to the garden growing stronger with each passing moment. The Velkari ships hung motionless in the air, their crews transfixed by the impossible event unfolding before them. The garden was no longer just a nexus of realities, it had become a seed of universal evolution, sprouting tendrils of possibility that reached across space and time. What is this? The Velkari commander's mental voice had lost its anger, replaced by something approaching awe. Through the crystalline structures that now existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, Maya and Zilaren projected their unified understanding. This is what happens when you let go of control, they communicated together. When you allow different forms of wisdom to merge and grow into something new. The resonant spire had become a beacon, its light carrying the garden's revolutionary knowledge to the far corners of space. Maya could feel the changes rippling through her own being, her human consciousness expanding to encompass new ways of understanding, while still retaining the essential qualities that made her human. The prophecy, Zilaren shared through their link. It wasn't just about bridging worlds. It was about creating a new kind of existence entirely. Maya understood. The garden had chosen her not just for her scientific knowledge, but for humanity's unique capacity to adapt, to embrace change while holding on to their essential nature. Combined with Zilaren's ancient wisdom and the garden's cosmic power, they were creating a template for a new kind of evolution. The Velkari ships began to descend, their organic hulls responding to the garden's transformation in ways their creators hadn't intended. Life, in all its forms, recognized the potential in what was happening here. Your species sought to control evolution, Maya projected to them, her consciousness now able to perceive the complex web of life connecting all things. But true growth comes from letting go, from allowing different paths of understanding to merge and create something greater than the sum of their parts. Through the resonant spire, she could see the impact already spreading. Across countless worlds, the garden's new pattern of evolution was taking root. Not as a controlling force, but as a possibility, a demonstration that different forms of knowledge and existence could combine in harmonious ways. Zilaren's form shimmered with joy as they observed the changes. The garden has achieved its true purpose, they shared. Not just preserving knowledge, but showing how it can grow into new forms. The Velkari commander's ship landed softly on the crystalline ground, its organic systems now resonating with the garden's evolved frequency. "We have spent millennia believing we understood the path of evolution," the commander projected. "But this is beyond anything in our calculations." Maya moved forward, her transformed consciousness allowing her to perceive the complex emotions rippling through the Valkyrie crew. "Because evolution isn't about calculations," she explained. "It's about possibility. About having the courage to become something new while honoring what you are." The garden continued to evolve around them, each new growth representing a perfect synthesis of different universal principles. Through the resonant spire, Maya could see similar transformations beginning on other worlds, places where different species and different understandings of reality were finding new ways to grow together. "What happens now?" the Valkyrie commander asked, their ship's organic systems already beginning to adapt to the garden's new patterns. Maya looked at Zileran, their shared consciousness embracing both their original natures and what they had become together. "Now," they answered in unison, "we learn. We grow. We explore what's possible when we stop trying to control evolution and start participating in it instead." The garden pulsed with approval, its transformed essence spreading like a gentle wave across the universe. Not as a force of change, but as an invitation, a demonstration that the boundaries between different forms of knowledge and existence were meant to be bridges, not barriers. Maya felt the last traces of her old uncertainty fall away. She was still human, still a scientist at heart, but now she was something more too. Looking at Zileran, seeing the same understanding in their multidimensional form, she knew they had only begun to explore what was possible. The resonant spire's light settled into a steady glow, its surface now displaying equations and patterns that represented the endless possibilities of unified evolution. The garden had become what it was always meant to be, not just a sanctuary or a repository of knowledge, but a seed of universal growth and understanding. "Ready to explore what comes next?" Zileran asked, their form shimmering with anticipation. Maya smiled, feeling the pulse of evolved reality flowing through her transformed consciousness. "Always," she answered. "After all, this is just the beginning." Around them, the Garden of Convergence bloomed with new life, each growth representing the infinite potential that exists when different worlds, different understandings, and different forms of wisdom come together in harmony. The universe, they knew, would never be quite the same again.